Nighttime, I had some frozen pinky mice, and I stuck them into 5 snake homes to see if they would eat them. Then I said, we'll come back tomorrow to see what happened. And now, we're going to find out what happened, and then I'm going to explain why this all works. So it's very important that you pay attention to why, instead of just taking frozen pinkies and feeding them to your snakes, okay? You have to stay for the story. The explanation, which is kind of like a story. Okay, we're going to the next day. Yeah, it's all happened, but anyway, okay, you know what I mean. Audio okay on this, or is it just bloody dreadful? Because like on the last one, it was just terrible. Tell me if it's terrible. Do you like it?
Oh yeah, I like it.
Dun 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 dun! We're back. It's the next day, and we're gonna see what has happened. So, it was mostly a success. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you see, actually, only 1 did not eat.
So what does this teach us? Let's sit and talk about it.
Okay, so I started to think to myself, why does this work? And I have a theory, okay? So, first of all, in general, I would not feed a frozen mouse or a frozen rat to one of my snakes, because if it was to swallow the frozen mouse or rat, and then it's trying to digest it, the body doesn't like it, it needs heat to digest it, and instead it has a frozen thing in its body, I figure it would upset the snake's stomach, and they might end up regurgitating. So it's just not something that I think anyone really would think to do naturally. But then I know that some people have had good success by boiling mice before feeding them to corn snakes. So that's something that happens in that community quite a bit. And in general, when I just dethaw a pinky mouse and I put it in for the snake to eat, what ends up happening is that pinky is not really wet unless I was to heat it up and try doing the dangle game. But if I'm heating up the food to do the dangle game, it's not the snake really eating on its own. I'm making it eat. So then, I don't know, I just thought to myself, when I take a pinky mouse and I stick it inside the home for it to eat, usually by the next morning, that pinky is already kind of going bad. So I thought to myself, if I put a frozen pinky, it's going to last a little bit longer. But now that I've been having good success with this, and it's worked quite well with quite a few difficult snakes that wouldn't eat on their own, and now they've eaten a few meals, and recently I sold a snake to someone, and she was having problems getting it to eat, so I told her, just toss in a frozen pinky mouse and it'll probably eat it. And sure enough, she put in a frozen pinky mouse and it ate it by the next day. So, and I've been thinking about it a little bit more, and it kind of makes sense, because think about this. You take a dead mouse that has been just dethawed and you stick it in there. It's not wet, and it's just slowly kind of going bad, slowly going from just nothing to starting to smell worse. And the snake kind of sees it. There's nothing really exciting about it. There's nothing interesting. It's just, oh, there's some food, but it's not that appealing to them. Now, when you put the frozen pinky inside the container and you leave it overnight, what happens is the little snake kind of goes to the frozen pinky. And this is all speculation, okay? This is all just me being imaginative, but it does make sense. And all the silly things that I do make sense to me in a weird way, so let me explain, and you tell me if you think that this could be a possibility. The frozen pinky is inside the home with the snake. Snakes are curious. They slither around, they see the frozen pinky, and they're like, oh, what is that? Oh, it's a cold piece of meat. And they don't eat it. They actually don't eat it for about 20 minutes, which is around how long it takes for a pinky mouse to dethaw. But what ends up happening is it piques their curiosity. And what do snakes do when they're curious? They smell. How do they smell? They smell by licking things. So there's like this mouse popsicle inside their home, and they start smelling it and licking it, and kind of tasting it, and they're like, ooh, because it's frozen and it's de-thawing. So as it's de-thawing, it has liquid on it. Exciting mouse liquid that is refreshing. So the snake comes and it's smelling it and it's tasting it and it's like, ooh, that's food. And I think that that might be the difference between just giving it some dead animal that's not that exciting. I think that they get to have more excitement from kind of like a mouse popsicle that de-thaws, and then it gets to the point where they can eat it, and they've already been licking it, they've already been a little bit excited, it gets to the right temperature that they figure they can eat it, because they don't just go and swallow it when it's frozen, which is interesting. They wait the time for it to kind of de-thaw enough that they can eat it, and then they eat it. Would bigger snakes do this? I have no idea. I haven't messed around with bigger snakes, and I don't need to, because all my big snakes will eat without having to do any nonsense with them. But I just thought that this is a pretty interesting new thing. I've never seen anyone do that. And maybe it's a new way that we can get our difficult eaters to eat. And those are my findings and thoughts on it. Do you think that's interesting? Do you think it's a pile of malarkey? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And thank you for hanging out. I'm all about trying to find different ways of making things easier. And I like sharing my findings with you guys. And I think that if we all kind of tried different things, that's how we get different results. And with different results, we can find better ways of doing things. We can find worse ways of doing things from people's mistakes, but when you try a whole pile of different things, that's how you find out what is best. So I've always kind of been on a quest/journey to find the most efficient way of doing things, or the best way of doing things. And different things work for different people and for different species. So this might be something that works well with African house snakes, that might not work well with boas or ball pythons. But it's still something that I think is interesting, and that's kind of what I'm all about. Teaching you stuff and entertaining you. So if you think you're into that, make sure that you're subscribed. Smash the like button because it helps the YouTube algorithm. And if you'd like to support me on this lovely journey, join my Patreon. You can do it for as little as $1, and all that money will go towards keeping the animals and making this channel better for you.